Hey everyone, Radhe Radhe. My name is Ayan Pasha, and today our first guest will be joining us. That is LIN SUN. She's one of the most famous and the most important developer in the whole cloud native computing foundation landscape when it comes to the Sidecar and the service mesh and Istio. She is the open source director at Solar.io and steering committee member at Istio. She's also a TOC member and tag network co-chair at CNCF, and she's also CNCF ambassador. So she'll be joining us and she'll be explaining about the recent achievement that has been attained by the Solo.io of getting accepted as the CNCF Sandbox Project. A huge congratulations to the whole team of Solo.io. She'll be explaining about the various different projects that the Solo.io has been working for and also about the ambient mesh, sidecar proxies and various other features that has been involved in the whole process of reaching up uh, to this milestone. So yeah, let's get started. Hey everyone, my name is Ayan Parshal. I'm the developer advocate at Lens by Mirantis. I usually get involved in the cloud native space in various different tech spaces and various different topics, where it is about the observability, monitoring, logging, security, and various different topics as well. Today we have an amazing guest, Lynn. You might have heard about her talks as well at KubeCon, Cloud Native Con, and various other contributions as well. She's a KubeCon, like the Solo.io's director at open source, and she's been also the CNCF ambassador and the tag environment, like the tag community member as well. She's been co-chairing that. And yeah, anything else you want to add to your introduction? We would be happy to hear about you.
Yeah, I guess I'll quickly touch a little bit on how I started in my tech career. So I actually started my tech career a long time ago. I worked at IBM for 19 years. It's a really, really long time. And just when I thought I would actually retire with IBM, uh, there was something inside of me feel like, I don't see myself like this is the last job I have for my entire career. And it was in the middle of COVID. A lot of people was moving jobs. I don't know if you guys heard of like the Great Resignation as part of COVID. A lot of people was just shifting to their new jobs. I had an opportunity. The founder of Solo, Edith Navin, reached out to me and asked me to join her team. That was a scary thought for me, but I'm so happy I decided to take the opportunity, join her team. It's just been so much changing for me, the way I'm seeing myself, not only focus on service mesh, but also focus on gateway, and also now with my expanded role as a TOC for CNCF, I'm seeing a lot more projects outside of my comfort zone, which is normally like the service mesh initially for the past few years. So I'm so excited. I just want to tell you the story that you may be comfortable with your job, but if you have a good opportunity come by, think about it. It might change you tremendously.
Yeah. Right. So you might have heard about this particular topic, this service mesh. You're kind of a whole developer advocate kind of a thing in the whole service mesh. You've been knowing in the whole landscape for the service mesh. So recently, Solo.io has also been achieved a new milestone of getting approved as the CNCF Sandbox project. So, and
Oh,
you've
yes.
been yeah, yesterday I pinged you over there and congratulated him for that particular topic. And yeah, great to hear about it. Great to know what are the future events or the projects that your team has been working for. And your team also have been working with the Istio quite a bit about the ambient mesh and various other projects as well. So, and you're also the like the steering committee member at Istio. So that's a great achievement. That's a great thing, to be honest.
Thank
So
you.
I want to know more about this particular thing, about the newer achievement that you got? Your team have been working really hard for this particular thing, and what are the future goals or the the milestone that you want to achieve? Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about them. So yesterday we had two big news yesterday. One of the big news is about the K-Gateway project, right? I basically, it was announced at KubeCon North America in, gosh, was it in Salt Lake City? Sorry, I've been to too many KubeCons. It's kind of hard to remember the city name now. In Salt Lake City last year, we announced in the keynote on Thursday the CNCF ecosystem by donating K Gateway to CNCF. And what's interesting about K Gateway compared with a lot of gateway projects in the market, by the way, if you look at CNCF landscape, there's probably around 5 to 10 gateway projects already out there, right? So what's unique about K Gateway? I would say the most unique thing about K Gateway is it has 7 years expertise and development work built in with the soul and blood of many of my coworkers at Solo. Some of them actually joined Solo. Some of our founding engineer, for example, Yuval, right? They've spent the past 7 years building the best gateway in the market, which is Gloo. And it's really combining a lot of experience we had building scalable and fast and also very intuitive to use gateway out there. And what's significant is we're taking it to a vendor neutral home like CNCF, right? Because when you look at a lot of gateway out there, having a base for open source, I believe, is critical to expand the ecosystem for the projects, right? So I'm so excited. We're taking it to CNCF and the CNCF tag, which is I'm part of. Certainly, I didn't vote on the acceptance of K Gateway. I abstained, but 8 members of the TOC voted, and yesterday we passed the vote. So that was super, super exciting for us because we do envision we are going to take K Gateway to the next level in CNCF, which is Sandbox, with our large history of adoption and also, production ready greatness of the project. So that's number one. The second news we had yesterday was Istio 1.25 is released. This is the first release of Istio after Ambient went GA, which was also announced in KubeCon Salt Lake City last year, right? So you may be thinking, wow, Istio had so many releases, it's no big deal. But this is the release we've actually, ever since we announced Ambient to GA to the world, right? We've been seeing increasing adoption of people explore Ambient, and some of users even running Ambient in production today. In fact, I'm going to speak with some of our customers I shouldn't say customer, our users in the community in KubeCon Europe upcoming next month. So as we were working with many of these users in the community, we've been busy fixing bugs and improve usability of Ambient. So they always say, the next release after the GA is the best release, which I tend to believe that. So this is a significant milestone for Ambient, even though it's not the GA release of Ambient, but it shows more maturity of Ambient based on users' feedback. So I'm really, really excited about that too.
Yeah, that's that's great. And yeah, I wasn't knowing about the first achievement. I was just knowing about the sandbox project getting approved. Yeah, so that's an awesome milestone, to be honest. Best of luck for the K Gateway to you. And yeah,
Thank you so
that's
much.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to know about them as well in the future and get connected to you about that project as well as soon as it gets succeeded in for the whole landscape of the CNCF as well. All right, so I've also seen that you are the steering committee member of the Istio and many other many other developers who are working with Solo.io are working, as you also said, that the people who are working with you have been a part of the community for about 7 years for this whole particular thing. And I want to know that Solo.io also has two more things. That is the Glue Mesh and Glue Gateway. So,
Yeah.
Solo.io has been already working with Istio and with the along with the Ambient Mesh and Sidecar proxies and the service mesh as well. So, just for the subscribers, I want to know what's the difference. What was the need of launching Glue Mesh and Glue Gateway? If we already had so many the alternatives for the service mesh capabilities as well as also for the gateways. Gateways you also already mentioned. There's another one. K gateway also has been coming in soon, and best of luck for that. So yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, that's actually really, really good question. So we believe helping people solving cloud network connectivity problems, right? To us, a big important piece of the puzzle is gateway, and the other important piece of the puzzle is mesh. So let me give you an example. Envision you're running your Kubernetes cluster as your own house, right? So if your house is in the middle of nowhere where you don't really talk to people, right? In that case, you don't need to guard your house, right? So you don't need a gateway. You probably don't need a mesh either, right? Because you don't expect the people coming into your house or exit out of your house other than maybe you or your family members. So you trust them completely and you don't need no monitor solutions for your house, right? Now, if you are an average person and you live in your house, maybe in a neighborhood, right, where you have neighbors, right? You have guests coming into your house, you have your kids may have friends coming into your house, and you visit other people's house too, right? In that case, you probably would be interested in looking into like a monitoring solution for your house, right? To figure out who's coming in and out of your house. And you probably want to have a key into your house, right? Because some type of security, right? Because you don't trust anybody coming into your house. So that's when gateway comes in, right? It kind of will control and monitors the traffic coming in and out of your Kubernetes cluster, right? So I think most people probably have some type of gateway in their house in the modern days, right? You can't really have your property without anybody visiting anyway. So that's where gateway comes in. Now, if you are having a very big house and you decided one day you want to make profit out of your house, have you ever stayed in one of those boutique hotels, right? It's basically like a large house where they kind of operate as a hotel where each of the room going to have their own keys to get in, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, you have an increased number of visitors, and the nature of your visitors kind of change, right? Because the nature of your visitor is they come and they leave, and you hand them new keys when they come in, assuming they paid, right? So you could have a dynamic wave of new visitors, every day, every week, every month, that you need to kind of keep track of monitoring and do security. That's when service meshes come in, right? So at that point, you don't feel the front of your door at your hotel is sufficient to manage everything coming in through your hotel. In that case, we believe a gateway. A gateway is good, but not secure enough and doesn't provide the visibility you need, right? That's when the service mesh comes in. So at Solo, we have the vision that we want to provide the best cloud native networking for our end user. And we believe if you're thinking about your Kubernetes cluster as a house, which is interconnected with other houses, most likely you need to talk to other people, then you will need a gateway. And optionally, if your house is sophisticated like a hotel, you most likely will need a service mesh. So I hope this analogy makes sense to you.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
And that's also how we develop our projects or products on top of it. So kgateway, which is based on Gloo open source, is our gateway offering. And we provide enterprise support for it, which is Gloo gateway enterprise. On the mesh side, we have Istio as our open source tier because we believe in open source as a company. And we have Gloo Mesh, which provides enterprise support and additional value add on top of open source as our mesh product, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure, fine. Also, I was asking that the this whole Glue service mesh was built on top of the Sidecar model early in back in those days, and now it will be graduated to the Ambient Mesh as well. It will be adopting that particular model as well. So, what are some of the features, core features that you believe that they will be a lot more beneficial for the Glue service mesh and Glue mesh as well for the Solo.io?
That's a great question. In fact, I forgot yesterday we had another major announcement. We actually announced the Gloo Mesh 2.7 release. Since I work primarily in open source, I forgot about it initially. But since you're asking about mesh now, and particularly about Gloo Mesh, right? If I understood correctly, now I want to bring up. So yesterday we had a major release of 2.7 of Gloo Mesh. So remember, this is our enterprise offering on top of Istio. So in 2.7 of Gloo Mesh, we support not only Istio Sidecar, which we had been supporting for a very long time. We also support Ambient Mesh, which allows user to run their workload in the service mesh without any sidecars. Now, what's interesting about Gloo Mesh 2.7 is, as a company, we tend to stay ahead of the open source projects. So we tend to add features before the feature lands in open source. And the reason is in open source, you have to collaborate with a big range of companies, and to be able to drive consensus in the community, sometimes it's very, very hard. So as a small company, we can go faster. So we tend to innovate ahead of the open source. So in Gloo Mesh 2.7, one of the major innovation we have on top of open source is we added support for multi-cluster. In fact, we redesigned the multi-cluster architecture of the mesh to make it more scalable so that not every single cluster in the mesh has to discover everybody else in the multi-cluster mesh. So that's one of the major innovation we have in Gloo Mesh 2.7. In fact, one of our maintainers, John Howard, actually ran a study where he was able to run 100 million paths with this model, which is super impressive. The second interesting feature about Gloo Mesh 2.7 is we introduce a new UI. So this is the UI, not only with our new branding, but also like the new graphics and observability panel, which I'm really excited about because it's very intuitive and easy to use. So that's the other thing we are announcing. And now the third thing we are announcing, which is super important to our vision, is I talk about gateway and mesh, right, for your house, right? You can choose which one you wanted, right? But now the immediate question is, can my gateway also control east-west traffic for my mesh, right? Because if I'm starting adopting my gateway, I already learned all the declarative language programming my gateway. Now, if I'm jumping to the sophisticated hotel business and need to run a mesh, then I don't want to relearn how to program in my east-west traffic control using anything new. So this comes to the third announcement we had. The third feature we had in Gloo Mesh 2.7 is we allow you as a user to bring that gateway as the east-west gateway for Istio Ambient. I don't know if you heard about the words of Istio waypoint. So
Yeah,
that's a key component in Ambient that mediate the layer 7 traffic. So what we are innovating is you can bring Gloo gateway as the waypoint for Ambient. So this is huge because that means as a user, if you started with the journey of the gateway, which we believe user will always start the journey with the gateway, then you can bring that same gateway into your mesh to control east-west traffic to have a consistent experience, the consistent gateway you feel comfortable with.
that's awesome. Um, Also, to all those people who are viewing this particular video, if you doesn't know about her, she have also written one particular book about the sidecar, explain about the Istio sidecar model that has been written by the Lynn and the Christian Posta, who's the CTO of Solo.io. It's an amazing book. If you really want to know about the waypoint and the Z tunnel and L4, L7 telemetry and various other things as well, just head on to downloading that particular book from the Solo.io book website. It's an amazing, like the walkthrough of the ambient mesh. Yeah, and those particular upgrades that you were talking about, that those are amazing to be honest. And yeah, I would like to know more about them as well in the future. And also, I was having another doubt. You're the director of open source at Solo.io, and many of our viewers must be like an open source contributor. They might be newbies or they might be a mid-range kind of a developer, like the developer
Yeah.
advocates and various other roles as well, like mine as well. So, what in how many of those particular ways, what could be those particular ways by which they can contribute to the the goal of Solar.io? How can they can be really play kind of an instrumental role in the growth of Solar.io? And yeah, become an important role person or the contributor in the whole space of open source for the solar tiles. So, yeah,
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for giving a shout out to our book. Yes, you can download it. It's available at ambientmesh.io. Now back to your question about how do you contribute to some of the open source projects that we are part of, right? So the two major open source projects we're part of is Istio and also kgateway, right? So I would just start by, looking at the GitHub and check out if there's any issues that's interesting. If it's not clear to you, some of you may be new contributors, which we welcome to. So first, we would love you to join the channel we have. So for Istio, I believe you can join at slack.istio.com. And then for kgateway, we are in the CNCF Snack, which you're probably part of as part of the KubeCon Cloud Native Con community. There is a kgateway channel. We would highly encourage you to join. And I'm one of the maintainers who will monitor that channel along with Yuval and many other maintainers on the kgateway project. So we would love your feedback. I would say the first point of contribution is probably just go through our get started guide, looking at some of the scenarios and some of the user cases we provide and see how kgateway can help solve those problems. And then the second one, just engage with us and tell us what type of things you're looking at contributing, whether it's contributing to the docs, which we hugely welcome, whether it's just contributing to a portion of the code or maybe some of the maintenance work of the kgateway projects. So stay your interest and, engage with us in Slack. We also run a community meeting if you're interested to have face-to-face discussion with us on kgateway project. I believe it's every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. May not be a great time for folks from India. So that's why I recommend the Slack channel as the first way to engage with us.
Yeah, that's great. I'll be looking in it as well. I'm a part of that particular channel as well. So, add on to our last question. You are kind of really engaged in the whole community of CNCF. You've been a CNCF ambassador also. So, you know that there's a lot of initiatives that are going on at the moment in the whole CNCF landscape, whether it is about this energy sustaining sustainability project or the FinOps and various other things as well, that are more reliant upon the cloud cost optimizing and all of those particular things, sustaining as much resources as possible because there are a lot of carbon emissions as well. And in the ambient mesh, we usually can like save a lot of resources as well, saving up the cloud
Gotcha.
computing as well as the computational power. So can you like go through all those points as well last, for the last? Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good question because like you said, because I was working on the TOC role, I had a lot of exposure to my daily job, which is nice, right? So in fact, if I'm looking at some of the green initiative projects within CNCF, a lot of them are relatively new, I would say, and most of them are in the sandbox stage, right? So the fact I'm looking at Istio Ambient is we're taking a big surgery of a graduated project like Istio and re-innovate with Ambient Mesh. And it actually fits the green initiative you were just mentioning, right? The fact we've actually heard this repetitively from our end user, the fact that they were running from Istio Sidecar and moving to Ambient, they've seen significant resource saving from the fact that they don't need to run the sidecar, and also from the fact that there's less network traffic cost between the control plane to the data plane. So, and also third, there is less operation cost because every time they move to a newer version of Istio, which we have a lot of patch release, by the way, they no longer needs to restart their workload, right? So that's like a huge saving from an operation overhead perspective for them. I mean, not so much on energy, but at the end, saving your effort doing like manual or even it's automated task, and that's boring task allows you to focus on more innovative thinking, which is great for everybody. So I would say those are the key things about ambient. In fact, here at Solo, we are actually having a tool to help user understand the cost saving from moving Sidecar to ambient. And we're looking at providing that tool to our community very soon. So, so we're really excited about the architecture of ambient and how it makes the the cost and the resources really at the minimum, because we understood a lot of people think mesh is complex, and we're trying to change the vision of the mesh could be simple and not costly.
Yeah, that's great. That's plays the whole point. So yeah, thanks a lot for this meeting. I had a great day, and I hope we connect again on the another meeting, discussing more about the K Gateway as well. Best of luck for the K Gateway and various other projects as well. And congratulations again for the Sol.io getting selected as the CNCF Sandbox Project. Hope you get see and promoted to the CNCF graduate project as well in the future, and that's a great thing. And yeah, hope we
Thank
get to meet other um, like the developer teams as well from the Solar Tie. Like we can have Christian Posta and various other people as well from the Solar Tie, and we can have another tech talk on those particular topics we had. And maybe next time we'll be having a lot more reviews as well with the new things that we are getting launched in the coming days. So yeah, best of luck for your product.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, if you want to know a little bit more about our projects, check out the K-Gateway channel on CNCF Slack or join us on the Istio Slack. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks. Thanks a lot.